Okay, this is the district. I don't know how many of you can put your hand up. How many of you have actually been to the district? There's a few. That's not too bad. I assume you've been to Free Space or Clock and Flap or some of these other events. Well, that basically takes place in this area. It's a temporary facility. It was never intended to be permanent. The district as a whole really is this. And it's about 1.3 kilometers from one end, which is Canton Road, out to the top end. And if you walk along the waterfront promenade in future, it'll be over 2 kilometers. 40 hectares. It's a very, very big site. You'll see various buildings are colored on the plan here. The ones in red are the ones we are building now, or we've already built. The ones in blue are the ones that we are looking to design for future building, and the ones in brown are the ones that we're design is finished, but we're still looking to tender out the actual building works. So very briefly, we have the Sichu Center. That will be opened next year. If you ever go past Canton Road, you'll see it. It's already coming out of the ground. The park, this area here, we've already opened the small M+ pavilion. M+, which is this building, is the museum. But we've opened a small facility where we can run exhibitions. We will have a small theater, 450-seat theater. We'll also have a space for about 10,000 audience for outdoor performances. And we'll have space in other areas for other performances. We're calling it an art park because we want it to be active as an art facility. That will be open in phases between the end of this year to the end of 2019. At the same time, in 2019, the main museum, M+, will open. Next, we have the Lyric Theatre, which is 3 theatres in one, a 1,450-seat main theatre for dance, a 600-seat theatre, and a 250-seat theatre for dance, theatre, and other performances. That will be open in 2021 or 22. These 3 facilities are still to be designed. One will be the music center for Philharmonic or the Hong Kong Chinese Orchestra or the Sinfonietta. One will be the Great Theatre, will be around 2,000 seats for opera and other major performances. And then this will be a commercial theatre for the international theatre productions like Cats or Les Miserables or that sort of production. The latest development is in this area. The controversy is about this one, and I'll come on to that in a minute, the Palace Museum. Adjacent to it will be an exhibition center which will be able to run multiple different things at the same time, including up to 12,000 seats for musical performances indoor. So we'll have the outdoor performance space and the indoor performance spaces fairly close by. I'm going to stop there. As I say, very happy to hear your comments, and I'll try and respond as best I can. Thank you.
Hi, Duncan. Thanks for your time. My name is Jason. I'm an architect. So I would like to know your vision, or is there any vision for this museum in 5 years, 10 years, or 20 years? What it will look like, and how does it engage Hong Kong people? Would it only really showcase the palace arts for 20 years? Yeah. Or, okay, the permanent exhibition will be for the palace, but it's only, for example, for 50%. Another 50% or 30%, some space would be like a floating exhibition, changed year by year. Mm. And would those topics needs to relate to Palace Museum, or it could be really free? So that's my question.
Hi, my name is Jessie. I'm a performing artist. So my concern / question for you is more towards the future, where you touched about the different empty segments that will soon to become sublets, or perhaps some sort of letting to commercial, probably shops, hotels, and all that. So one of the things that I found as a concern within arts and culture, especially in Hong Kong, is the cross or that border line between arts and commercialism. So if you're going to, I'm pretty sure it will be quite a few years down the line before this will happen. But if you're going to sublet these spaces to different brands, I would say, or different big household names, whether in whatever industry it may be, would you have a specific screening process? Because personally, I would think for such a district like that, I would presume that the screening process should have quite high criteria, and whether you would at least expect or request these different brand names to have a social responsibility, a corporate social responsibility towards the arts, and hence part of the selection process. And going a few steps back on the transparency and the secrecy, with this selection process and any future process of engaging other commercial brands or engaging other names, would there be a priority and a commitment by the district to provide a very transparent process throughout?
Very good questions. Let me try and answer them in reverse order. 2 points. Yes, we want there to be the commercial element, the retail, the dining, the entertainment. That's always been part of the concept. In fact, under the original government plan for us, the income from retail, dining and entertainment would have helped us to cover the cost of the operation. So it was always a very important part. We've already taken a decision, 3 decisions in this area. The first is it will not be simply the highest price gets the venue. It's incompatible with us being an art and culture district. So we will curate the retail, dining and entertainment just as we'll curate the art, just as we'll curate the performances, just as we'll curate the exhibition. So we'll choose who will go in each space. I think that's very important. In that regard, we want to give opportunities for unusual, let's say a restaurant or a bar or a coffee shop. We don't want Starbucks, let's be quite frank.
Cafe 21 is a good choice,
I'm sure that's true. We want them to be something which is suitable and compatible with the way the district's going to be run. So that's the sort of first thing. Secondly, in terms of the transparency, all of these letting arrangements will be done through open tender. We have what we call a letting panel. So the tenders will be let out. Whoever wants to come in will come in. But on top of that, we will approach specific groups that we think would be compatible to try and encourage them to apply. But then, of course, there has to be a process of negotiation. These are commercial rents that we're talking about. They are part of the income to the district. So we can't just do that part in a very transparent manner. But in terms of invitation, absolutely. In terms of the announcement, of course. But the negotiation, that simply can't be done in that way. In terms of issues such as corporate social responsibility, we have got that. But I'll be frank with you. We have to have a balance between the corporate social responsibility and the commercial. You can't have it swayed too far in one direction at the expense of the other. It's always going to be a balance. There's also a big difference between a large operation, which can have formal CSR requirements, and a small mom and pop type operation. They're not going to have that. So you can't make it an absolute. It has to be part of the balance. But yes, that is something. And it's also something we want to be looking at in terms of their compatibility with the venue. You've got to bear in mind, there's a big difference between a museum and a venue designated for dance, or a venue for jazz or theatre. You need that balance as well. So there are many factors that come into play when you choose who you wish to have in. But yes, we want to be as curated as possible. The vision for the Palace Museum comes back to what I said at the start. It's a Hong Kong museum. And with that, the starting position must be what is the interpretation of any part of the collection from a Hong Kong perspective. Will we be able, for example, to build our own collection? Yes. If we can deal with things like authenticity, provenance, cost, they're very expensive, these artifacts. But yes, we can build our own collection. I would hope some of the Hong Kong collectors who have magnificent collections will donate. That will put it even into more Hong Kong perspective. We will have a space within the museum for local collectors to showcase their own collections. That's already part of the intent. So there'll be a lot of opportunity to look at this from the Hong Kong perspective, both from the collector's perspective as well as from the more formal angle of the collection. How will it run? Well, one of the things that we had to negotiate, and it isn't just with the Palace Museum, but actually with the Ministry of Culture, is how much access we get to the grade A, the first class, the top artifacts. Normally it's very restrictive. They can only be released for 4 months maximum time frame. They can only have, I think it's 3 out of a total of 100 items. None of that applies in this case. We have access for up to between 1 to 2 years, and there are fewer restrictions on the grade A items that can come here. It's a big, very different context. Even for museums within China who want to get artifacts from the Palace Museum, they're subject to those very narrow restrictions. This museum isn't. So we really have access to the whole collection, and that's what gives this the special opportunity.
Hi, Duncan. It's great to see you. My name's Frank. I'm a visual artist in Hong Kong. I don't have questions, but I have a suggestion. Like, I think art is very important to make someone become a better person. And I think in Hong Kong, we have a lot of adults that they are good at art. They know how to enjoy art. But I would like to suggest to set up a special committee to put more children to engage with the West Kowloon, such as to bring the children every day, maybe every day, to visit any one of the museums, and or also to create some classrooms, to hire some teachers, to bring all the children to the district to make them feel the art and let them to nurture them, and then Hong Kong will become a more artistic place, not just to calling bring artworks from the outside and calling all other people to enjoy the art, but we should build make Hong Kong people make the local kids to be more artistic and to build our own art. This is my suggestion.
My name is Aaron. I come from the bank. In my narrow understanding, apart not from the architect field, 2 suggestions that maybe my 2 cents. One thing is that I can see that when we think about the British Museum, what I can think of is the Rosetta Stone. When we think about in the Milan, maybe we can think of some other famous, let's say for example in the Last Supper. But what I'm thinking is that you mentioned about a very large amount of artifacts that are going to go to Hong Kong. But what I think is the quality over the quantity. That maybe one of the 2 items that is famous enough that will attract the number of people to Hong Kong, rather than having 2 million or 3 million of unique items in Hong Kong. And other things that about the whole branding issue, especially the controversial topic. Or other thing that maybe you can consider hiring a campaign ambassadors from the celebrities and to wrap it up and make things easier when you to go through in the future.
Let me again deal with those in reverse order. Aaron's point, the quality over quantity point is absolutely right. Everything we're doing is about raising the quality of performances, the quality of management, the quality of the museums. The museums in Hong Kong are great, but honestly, they're municipal museums. This will be the first museum that is operated at an international standard with an independent board responsible for its own management. We're not civil servants. I'm a former civil servant, I admit that. None of my colleagues are civil servants. We don't have that civil service mentality. That's the difference. The artifacts that we're collecting, I can tell you, are amazing. And the artifacts we'll have access to from the Palace Museum will be amazing. There will be, I'm sure some of you may have heard of the sushi bar. Why would you buy a sushi bar? It's iconic. Everybody talks about M+ Museum and they talk about the sushi bar. It's brilliant when you see it. That's the sort of thing you have to be brave, because you buy something, you may not agree with it, you may disagree with it, you may love it, I'm neutral. Everybody has an opinion. So yes, quality over quantity, but it's not just in terms of artwork, it's about performance, it's about the management standards, it's about the district quality as a whole. Final point, branding. In fact, we have got branding people on board. We're just about to appoint some people to help us with handling our PR, because quite honestly, it's not particularly good. It has never been good. The problem is that every time you read an article about West Kowloon, the article starts with words to this effect: the delayed, over budget. Always. It doesn't matter whether it's the English press or the Chinese press. The reality is...
Is it related to the feng shui?
Nothing. It's the best feng shui in town. Absolutely. The reality is that what we've tried to do is say, look, yes, there was a long time of discussion. Wasn't the authority involved in that? Let me stress this. We only came into being in 2008. The first 3 years, as required by government, was consultation, talking about the development plan. It takes a long time. I've been involved now for roughly 2 years. And in the 2 years, we've gone from nothing being built to 6 projects underway, 10 contracts already let, another 7 or 8 to come. Because my philosophy is build the bloody thing, show people what you're going to do, and then all this debate about whether it's good or not will go away if we get it right. That's the challenge. Frank. Children, absolutely our #1 priority. As I said, every venue has a teaching space. The Sichu does, the Palace Museum will, the M+ certainly has, Lyric Theatre will have resident company spaces. We want young people. I'm looking, hopefully, to have some form of arts education facility within the district. We need that. It's the one thing that the development plan doesn't have. I think I've found space. I think we can do it. I want young people. I want you guys, younger than you guys. I want kindergarten. I want my own grandchildren, 18 months and 2 years old. They're coming in. They're the ones that I'm really building this for. I'm not building it for me. Absolutely. So already we have the learning and interpretation team in each section. The museum has it. The performing arts have it. It's being built up. The museum, the M+ Museum, has what we call the M+ Rover. We've converted a 20-foot container into a classroom. We've hired a Hong Kong artist to perform in that container, and we take it out to schools. Far better to go out to them, get them interested, and then invite them back. Because it's more difficult to move 30, 40 people than it is to move one person. So the philosophy is, we don't have a museum yet. Well, that's not going to stop us. Let's get out there. Let's work with young people and encourage them to take this as their place. So absolutely fundamental to what we're doing, young people. I think your example of the library visit is a classic example. When you have people familiar with something, when it's not seen as distant, as intimidating, as scary, frightening, then it becomes somewhere they're comfortable with. And that's what I want this to be. Every venue has got to be friendly and open to young people, middle-aged people, old people like me. You know, sometimes you go into the British Museum and it's quite an impressive building. Once you get through the door, it's fine.
Yeah.
But it's getting people in through that door, and you're absolutely right, we've got to do that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Duncan, and thank you, all of you.